The other baby was a stillborn. And Karen almost didn't make it either. They had to perform an emergency C-section.
But we still have one who made it. This is my baby girl, Faith.
She's such a cutie.
Yeah, folks, so I talked about this in my review, and I wanted to highlight it again here, but I thought it was so messed up that last night in episode 4, we learned that a couple of days have passed from the time where we ended episode 3 off with, Karen giving birth to her returning home at the beginning of episode 4. Pam has everything set up in the apartment and whatnot, yet she was not told that Karen had lost one of the babies. And, Danny's the first one in, and she rushes to, try to get Pam to put away stuff. And Pam's like, what's going on? It's like they really wanted to kind of drum up the drama, but in reality, it's just telling Pam ahead of time would have done wonders, because of the fact that a few days have passed. So Pam knew, oh, Karen's in the hospital. But I know you could argue back and forth. Well, Jeremy, it's not like, hey, if this been a few days, did Pam ever call, Karen or Miss Lisa or Aaron? I mean, she probably did, hence why she knew to go over to the apartment and set up everything. That's true, but I don't know. Look, the biggest argument could have been, well, they probably didn't tell Pam because they knew Pam would blab about, Karen losing a baby. I get it. She's comedic relief. She's a gossip. But when the chips are down, Pam is going to be in your corner. And I think she would hold... Well, look, I know the history of the show hasn't really shown Pam in the best light, such as the disrespect of having sex in Karen's office. Heck, I even think she did that, in the old shop. She'd have a guy either in the office or the supply closet or whatever, which, if I remember correctly, weren't they one in the same? I believe Karen's office also had supplies in there. But yeah, it's just like, I think in this instance, Pam would not have blabbed, because certainly she would know the gravity of telling everyone something as personal and depressing as Karen losing one of the babies. So I feel like that argument might not work in this situation, but for Pam to just out of the goodness of her heart just be so excited, oh, there's my girl, now let me see them babies. And like I said in my review, I'm so glad like nobody came down hard on her, because how could they? She clearly didn't know, and she did all that work putting everything together. So I just feel like I get it. She's not one of the girls, and she's not really close with anybody inside the group, just Karen herself. And, well, her connection with Maurice is stronger than any connection that she has with an Andy, Danny, or Sabrina, or Fatima. But I just feel like they did Pam so dirty. Hence why I posted that video yesterday. Pam got done so dirty, because initially, pre-episode 4, I just assumed episode 4 was the very next day. Karen gave birth, the next morning she goes home. But no, a few days have passed and no one thought to tell Pam. That's messed up. That is messed up. So, with that being said, Pam is still in her corner because of the fact that, when the girls offered to stay, it's like, oh no, she has me and Aaron and Pam, so we're good. And it just goes to show how robbed as a fan I feel, because Pam has done, and look, don't get me wrong, I get it, the other women have their own lives, and for a time they had their own relationships, but Pam has been there for Karen more than any of them. It's true. So for her to be left out of the loop, and unintentionally hurt Karen as soon as she got home from the hospital. I hated that for Pam. I really did. So with that being said, let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I'm wondering though, with her briefly out of commission and Pam helping her out, like, is the salon closed or is there somebody else running the store? Just throwing that out there. But yeah, but let me know your thoughts on Pam just being completely left out of the loop. And a lot of people were saying, like, you know, the one time Pam needed to be nosy and she wasn't. Hey, but I take it it's just like Fatima. She's trying to do better. She's trying to be better. But yeah, it's messed up how they did Pam. But that sign she made, what was it? Welcome to the world, Zakisha and Aaronette, or whatever it said. That was hilarious. But like and subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next one.